Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a video covering two new Hall effect boards, one already on the market, one coming to the market soon. I think the Ice Ring63 from Dry Studio, you guys see her on the left, comes in at $130. The Ying75 will have different versions on launch. This is the one with the limited keycaps that you can see here. I think looks pretty solid. Both of them I think look pretty aesthetically strong, just depending on your own subjective preferences. I do like the keycaps on both, and they both are in these two different copies using different TTC switches. I'm going to start with the Ice Ring63. I think this is a board that, let me show you guys first and foremost, one of the interesting features on the board. You can see when you do plug it in, it does have a knob here on the left, and that knob does correspond with different colors for different presets. You can turn the knob right now. You see it is on a white pulsating color. That is for a general typing mode with 2mm actuation. And when you turn the knob, eventually when it gets to a particular distance, it will rotate into the next mode. Now the Valorant mode for red, which takes that actuation down to a very minimal level. And it also has a blue mode and a green mode as well. The green mode is for a custom preset where you can set whatever it is that you like. So a pretty interesting feature here on the Dry Studio Ice Ring63. I do think that the changing the modes on the fly, it is a pretty interesting thing, so you can kind of test the waters with what actuation you like in particular titles, but it's a feature that will exist on other boards as well with different profiles that you can swap to. So kind of like a gimmicky thing, but also still kind of cool because I found myself rotating the knob and testing things more than I would with rotating out different profiles on other boards. The Ice Ring63, I think, has a very cool colorway here. It's kind of like a bone gray and or a taupe color. I think it looks absolutely great with the black, the white on black keycaps with a little offset of that orange. Overall, the one thing that I didn't like was the knob. I wish it was extended a little bit further so that this ledge could have been used as a rest for my pinky finger. But every once in a while in game, I felt my pinky finger kind of rotating and hitting or just getting struck by the knob here. So I wish the knob was either smaller or I wish extended out a little bit more. The other thing I didn't like, first and foremost, like the keyboard is one of the most responsive Hall effect boards I've ever used on the market. It feels absolutely fast, and you can really tell the difference when you do swap to the Ice Ring 63. It feels insane. And I do think that the case has a great aesthetic overall. You can see one of the features on the board is, and probably kind of gimmicky as well, but you can see the backside of the board all metal here. It does have a decent weight to it, but I wouldn't define this case as being heavy by any means. But it is exposed on the right side, so you will have to be a little bit worried with respect to spilling something on the board if you're clumsy or messy. But you can see it's got a good layer of case foam here for dampening, and then those TTC magnetic king switches are exposed as well. But overall, the exposed feature is supposed to be for heat dissipation, which is supposedly supposed to keep the board more consistent and all for performance. I've never had an issue with what I felt a PCB getting hot on other well-performing Hall effect boards, but I guess it is a cool feature that maybe you were looking for. But overall, I think it's two things that between the knob and the heat dissipation just don't really shouldn't really be the biggest selling points unless you really like the aesthetic. I do think, though, that again, whether it be the heat dissipation or something else, the keyboard does feel like one of the most responsive boards I've ever used. Those TTC magnetic king switches, to me, the typing experience just leaves a little bit to be desired. They do feel quite fast and clean on the downstroke, but they just feel and sound like open and just not as clean feeling as something like a Magnetic Jade Pro or Ruby, to me, that you can feel and sound like they sound a little bit more chiclety, and old school in comparison to some of the newer switches. But again, I do think that for general gaming performance, I do like that the board feels a little bit on the firmer side. And again, the switches do have a nice, clean downstroke for the most part. Overall, like the stabilizers are done well. I didn't have any issues with the overall feeling of the board being quite optimized, especially at the price point of $129. I do just wish those switches sounded and felt a little bit better for typing. Overall, though, a killer for gaming performance, and I do think that the aesthetic here is quite unique and pretty damn cool. And both boards do come in what feels like a pretty premium unboxing experience. You guys can see here the Ying75 comes with a carrying case, and in the carrying case you do have a few additional goodies, including some additional switches in case something needs to get replaced, a cleaning brush, and a USB cable. And for the Ice Ring 63, it actually does come in a little briefcase looking thing, which is kind of cool because you can reuse this. You can take it to LAN or wherever you need to go, your buddy's house, etc. The keyboard just rests right inside and really just feels great in terms of a nice protective carrying case that you can reuse. Now, the Ying75 to me just feels better in terms of general typing feel, and it sounds a lot better as well. It actually is one of the best feeling and sounding Hall effect boards that I've used to date. It is using a custom Gateron switch called the Nightfall, which performs about as you would expect from the Gateron Magnetic Jade Pro, but it's actually a pretty nice looking switch if anybody's into aesthetics. It's got this like sparkly tint to it, and almost looks like a Gateron ink, but looks pretty cool. I'll show you guys a close-up there of the custom Nightfall switches. And to me, one of the most impressive things about the Ying75 is just the general typing feel again, and the feeling of those switches in game. To me, it's just a more refined downstroke than something like the king of magnetic switches on the Ice Ring 63. And so far, I've had a really nice experience. Everything just feels well-tuned from the stabilizers all the way through the general switch feel. I think it does have a cool case aesthetic. To me, it's kind of reminiscent of how the Tofu looks in terms of how things sit in the case in general. The backside, you guys can see with that carbon fiber composite, it does look very clean and quite cool as long as you're into something that's not as poppy with like a bright color, but it's got that carbon fiber swoosh look to it on the full case here. You've got this bar on the backside, a little mountain theme here. And on the top side, you've got the USB-C laid out on the left, just like the Ice Ring, and then just a minimal WLMouse logo there on the top. But again, kind of rest in like a general orientation like a Tofu. Overall, the keycaps do feel great. I think they have a cool aesthetic to them, and the RGB on the board does look quite nice as well. But just really, if you're into this layout, as long as the price is right on launch, I'm actually not too sure of the price right now, but as long as the price is right, I think this board really does look cool and performs and just feels quite well tuned out of the box. So guys, again, there is a flood of Hall effect boards that do perform well on the market, a lot to choose from. Just an overview though of two more, the Ying75 and the Ice Ring 63 from Dry Studio. I hope it helped, guys. If anybody tests out these boards or has any thoughts, let me know in the comments below. I'll see you guys in the next review. Peace.